The soft hum of conversation filled the luxurious restaurant, a place where every plate looked like art and every chair seemed to whisper wealth. The chandeliers glimmered like captured stars, and the air was rich with the scent of truffle and ambition. No one expected anything extraordinary to happen that night until she walked in. The door creaked open, breaking the rhythm of perfection. A woman, frail and weary, stood at the entrance. Her coat was torn, her shoes mismatched, and her face was marked by the kind of exhaustion that only the streets could paint. For a moment, the world froze. Conversations died mid-sentence. Forks stopped in midair. The hostess blinked, unsure of what to say. This was not the kind of guest who usually stepped into La Chateau Lumière. Every eye in the room seemed to silently ask the same question. What is she doing here? "Can I help you, ma'am?" the hostess asked, her polite tone trembling. The homeless woman nodded slowly, her eyes glistening with quiet courage. I'd like to have a meal, please," she said softly. A wave of uneasy murmurs rippled through the restaurant. A couple near the window whispered, smirking. "This is a joke, right?" one of them said. The other laughed under their breath. "Maybe she got lost." The hostess hesitated. Her training said to smile, but her instinct said to send the woman away. Then came the voice that would change everything, a waiter named Daniel, stepping forward from the shadows of the dining hall. "It's okay," Daniel said firmly. "I'll take care of her." The hostess blinked in surprise. "Daniel, are you sure?" The manager, but he didn't let her finish. "Trust me," he said, his tone calm but unwavering. Daniel guided the woman to a small table in the corner, away from the judgmental stares. He placed a menu in front of her, though he knew she probably couldn't afford a single dish listed. "What would you like tonight, ma'am?" he asked gently. Her hands trembled as she touched the glossy menu. I haven't eaten a proper meal in days," she admitted. "Maybe just a bowl of soup, if that's all right." "How about something warm and hearty?" Daniel said with a kind smile. "I'll see what I can do." He turned before she could protest. Behind the counter, the chef frowned. "Daniel, what are you doing?" he asked sharply. "You know she can't pay for that meal." Daniel met his gaze and said quietly, "Maybe not with money, but kindness always pays back in ways we can't see." The chef shook his head but didn't stop him. Deep down, something about Daniel's conviction stirred his conscience. While the woman waited, she watched the other customers glance at her and whisper. A mother pulled her child's chair closer, as if poverty were contagious. The woman lowered her head, her cheeks burning with shame. But in her heart, she whispered a prayer, "Please, let me be seen as a person again." Moments later, Daniel returned, carrying a plate that looked like a masterpiece. A steaming bowl of homemade stew, bread still warm from the oven, and a cup of tea. "This is on the house," he said softly. "No one should go hungry." Her eyes filled with tears. "You're too kind," she murmured. "Thank you." Daniel just smiled. "Enjoy your meal." The whispers around the room grew louder. "Can you believe that?" Someone muttered. "He's serving her." What will the manager say? But Daniel ignored them all. Across the restaurant, the manager did see his expression was unreadable. He watched the scene unfold with quiet intensity before finally standing and walking toward Daniel. The air seemed to tighten as the manager approached. Daniel straightened, expecting reprimand. The homeless woman froze, her spoon mid-air. But instead of anger, the manager simply asked, "Who told you to serve her?" Daniel's voice didn't waver. "No one. I just thought it was the right thing to do." For a long, tense moment, the manager said nothing. Then he turned to the woman and asked gently, "Ma'am, may I see what you're holding?" The woman hesitated, confused, then opened her worn purse. Inside, there was a small, framed photo of a young boy in a restaurant uniform. Her hands trembled as she held it out. "This is my son," she whispered. "He used to work here before he passed away." The room went silent. The photo showed a smiling young man wearing the same uniform Daniel wore. The resemblance was uncanny. Daniel stared at the picture, his heart pounding. "What was his name?" he asked, barely able to speak. "Michael," she said softly. "He always dreamed of owning a place like this one day. He said this restaurant changed his life." The manager's face softened. "I remember Michael," he said quietly. "He was one of our best waiters. Kind, hardworking, always helping others. I didn't know he was your son." Tears streamed down the woman's face. "He loved this place. When he passed, I promised I'd come here one day just to see it, to feel close to him again." The entire restaurant was silent now. Even the customers who had sneered moments ago were speechless. The weight of her words hung in the air like a confession. The manager turned to Daniel. "You did the right thing," he said softly. "In fact." He paused, glancing at the stunned guests. "Her meal is not just on the house. She can eat here any time. From now on." The woman gasped, covering her mouth. "Sir, I can't accept that." "I don't deserve," but he interrupted gently. "You deserve to be treated like a human being. That's what your son taught us." Daniel helped her stand, his eyes misty. "Your son would be proud," he whispered. She nodded, smiling through her tears. The other customers looked away, ashamed. Some quietly reached for their wallets, paying for meals they hadn't finished. Others whispered apologies to no one in particular. Something had shifted in the rumor collective awakening. As the woman left that night, the cold wind brushed her face, but her heart felt warm for the first time in years. She looked up at the glowing sign of the restaurant and whispered, "Thank you, Michael." Inside, Daniel watched her go. He turned to the manager, who simply nodded. Sometimes, the manager said, kindness feeds more than hunger. It feeds the soul. The night returned to its rhythm, but the restaurant would never be the same. From that day forward, a quiet plaque appeared near the entrance, a small, framed picture of Michael, smiling in his waiter's uniform, with a quote underneath, "Kindness is never wasted." And though most customers passed it by without a second glance, Those who stopped to read it often left with a softer heart and a heavier tip, because sometimes it only takes one act of compassion to remind us what it truly means to be human. This is the kind of story that lives not just in memory, but in the soul of everyone who witnesses it. If this story touched your heart, take a moment to share it. Leave a comment about the kindest thing someone has done for you. And if you believe the world needs more stories like this, subscribe to Rewind Reality, where every story reminds us of the power of kindness, empathy, and hope.